everyone, thank you so much for tuning in. We are going to start a new series here on our Facebook page and our YouTube channel, so make sure you're following us both places to kind of introduce you to our board members. Here at Twin Masks, we found it important that you guys get to know the behind the scenes and who's working on how we pick the shows, who works in the theater, how do we put together our educational series, and just to kind of get to know us a little bit more as performers, directors, and people. So here today we have D. Keith Stiver. He is a board member. He's been in theater for a million years. And we're just going to kind of talk through some questions, kind of give like a little interviews to give you an insight to who he is and what he contributes to our theater. So welcome, Keith, and thank you so much for doing this for the theater. We're trying to get a little bit more tech savvy as, you know, everything happening with the pandemic. We want to make sure we still give a face and voice to our theater and give our followers something to actually follow. So thank you. We're going to start off with a little easy question. Tell us just a little bit about how you came to be on the board at Twin Masks.
I had been part of a group that was trying to start another group that just sort of bogged down in all the process of everything, and sort of it just died. When Claudia was getting ready to start this, she approached some of us that were on that other board to see if we would be interested in moving over to this, and I was very happy to do so. I liked her business plan. I liked what she was talking about as keeping a small board and the kind of shows that we were looking to do. So I was very happy to accept a position on the board.
Yeah, that's the one thing that I honestly love about this theater is that it does shows that you don't see very often done, or if you do know of them, because the space is so small, it gives you a little bit of a different view or different take. So I love that. So let's give the people what they want. Let's talk about your background a little bit. Okay. So I always joke every time I talk to you about how you have like 12 degrees and you've like been teaching for 500 years, but let's give them actual facts of what you do, what your background is, all of that.
Okay. I have been doing theater literally for 51 years. I do have 3 degrees, 1 bachelor's degree in musical theater performance and 2 master's degrees in music.
Awesome.
So that's
awesome.
Yeah.
So that is certainly going to come in handy when you start your the education series, right? So you have the bachelor's in musical theater performance, which for anyone that has ever gone for any type of music or theater degree, even at the bachelor level, is tons and tons and tons of training.
Oh yeah.
And then you said you have 2 masters, which is huge. So with our education coming to Twin Masks, you're actually learning from a teacher. You're learning from a professor that has been doing this for years. It's not just somebody from the community, which is okay. But having those accolades to kind of back you up is huge and important. So I want to kind of talk about what are some of the things that we might see in that class, that things that you want to bring that you know have been important from your directing background and also like your performance background.
Well, since I'm doing a whole series on audition strategies, I see a lot of people that get freaked out at auditions, or that come in not knowing what's expected or coming in unprepared. So we're going to start, just from, okay, look at the audition notice and see what's there, and then how to tailor what you're bringing in to what's being asked for. I wish I had a nickel for the number of times I've had people walk into an audition for a musical with no music. They're expecting me to hand them something to say, and no, that's not the way it works. Yeah. So it gets a little awkward sometimes.
Yeah, that's super important. I know, like, just from an acting standpoint, like, I try and get as much information as possible. And even though I did have college training and went to school for theater. There's so many times that I've been looking for community theaters to put on education series like this so that I can keep honing my skills and learn from different people, because I think that's also important.
This is something that I've been wanting to do for several years. And this just sort of gave us an opportunity when we weren't trying to put up 4 or 5 shows at a time, or, do 87 other things. So it opened up the space to allow for it.
Yes. Which is, yeah, it's a blessing in disguise, right? So this worldwide pandemic, and unfortunately we see a lot of hurt in the theater community. Companies are disbanding or shows being canceled, and to give some sort of outlet with our free series that we're doing, or we'll be doing Our Town in a couple months, which you're also a part of. And then now we're bringing our education series, which is huge because it's webinar format. So we're not going to be meeting in person, but we'll still have that small classroom like feel in a webinar setting.
It's you were talking about we're trying to become more tech savvy with everything going on. I think I've learned more tech in the last 2 months than I had in the previous 5 years.
Yep. People don't understand. Like, some people ask me, like, Zoom, is that new? No, it's been around a while. We're just now all forced to use it. So we're trying to use it in a positive way, which is great.
And and it's funny. Everyone talks about Skype. And I tried Skype years ago when it first came out, and I hated it. Well, now I'd like to try using it again, and I can't make it work. I've successfully connected with one person.
I know we're also used to doing FaceTime on our phones or Zoom meetings now. A lot of us use, so
yeah.
I always forget about Skype. That's an old one for sure.
And I've been starting to play around with Google Meets and a couple of other platforms, because not only for this, but I also teach for Cuyahoga Community College. All of my classes are online now, and I've been using Zoom, but at some point it becomes a little difficult, especially when I don't want to pay for the business membership to Zoom.
Yeah.
And so I have to try to get everything into a 40-minute format, because you have more than 2 people on, they limit you. And I've been in a couple of things where just out of nowhere everything went away.
Right. Which luckily for us, we won't have to worry about that. But it kind of brings back to a good point that because of your background in school and having to figure out what's going on, we have a really tight format that you're giving the most information in the best way possible. So it won't feel like a long drawn out kind of seminar feel. So which is huge, because you don't want people to be disengaged. You want them to learn. You want them to take that information and go to their next audition and like blow it out of the water.
Of course. And spreading it out over 4 sessions means that I can deal with a certain set of information, and if people have questions, they'll have time to ask questions. They'll have time to express their thoughts.
Yeah.
In some ways,
Yeah, that's huge. That's another good point, is it's spread out over 4 sessions, so it's not all information in one session, and then you're like, oh God. You have time to ask questions. You are learning from someone who has years experience as well as degrees to back it up. So it's going to be a good class, and I'm actually really excited for it.
Looking forward to it.
What is something else that you can tell people to look forward to when they're coming to this class? Something that you're excited to bring?
Well, of course will be some, probably some bad puns and, silly jokes, but that tends to be de rigueur when I'm teaching.
Yes.
I will be bringing a lot of experience both as a performer and as a director into, because I've been on both sides of the table.
That's huge.
And just some things that I've learned from talking with some of my friends that are in the business. Different things that they have seen people do that have been effective, or that their reps have told them to do, and it has paid off for them.
Yeah,
so
that's huge.
It's going to be just a lot of, some of it seems so common sense or obvious, but I know the first time I heard some of this, it was like, oh wow, yeah, never thought of that.
Right.
You have those light bulb moments where you're thinking, why didn't someone tell me this 20 years ago?
Yeah. Even now, like, I mean, you said you've been in it for 50 years. Even just um, however many years, how old am I now? 20 years that I've been performing and honing my skills and crafts. Like, there's still things that, like, oh my gosh, I forgot I learned that in college 8 years ago. Or, oh my gosh, I don't think I've ever learned that. And I've learned from people that have come from Broadway, like, things like that are just, you're constantly learning. And I think that's what's important about these classes. You're honing your skills.
Even though I'm presenting these classes, I don't know everything.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not arrogant. I'm not so arrogant to think that I know all the answers. Someone may say, someone may come back and say, well, I'd heard that such and such was not a good idea.
Mm-hmm.
And then we can talk about that. One of the things I may touch on it, I'm not entirely sure yet, is the fact that every couple of years, the guidelines for headshots change. 1 year you're out there with your 8x10 glossy with a white edge, and then 2 years later, they expect there no edge, no name on it, everything has to be on the back, or now all of a sudden color is okay. It's just, so it's good to keep up with the trends,
Yes, for sure. For sure.
Sitting here in Ohio sometimes is tough.
Yes, I think even more recently, a small picture at the top of your resume is okay, because that's what I think I've been doing. But
that's something that I've seen done. If you are going to go the 8x10, make sure you attach your resume to the back of it.
See, a small tidbit, and you're not even in the class yet.
Right.
Sign up for the class. So now to the fun stuff. What is one show, and I don't care if you've been in it, like performing wise for years, or if it was like the very first show that you saw that just was completely like, I need to do this. Like, this is what my calling is.
Honestly, it wasn't a matter of seeing a show; it was actually being in a show. When I was 8, that just confirms my age right there. I was part of a pilot program introducing Shakespeare to elementary school kids.
Of all things.
We did modern English versions of them.
Yeah.
And we actually built a mock-up of the Globe Theater with the platform stage and everything. And we did those. I think the first one we did was, I want to say it was Taming of the Shrew.
Ooh, it's a good one.
It was either that one or Comedy of Errors. I can't remember which one it was. But doing that, I just loved the process. And the whole idea of taking on this other persona for an hour or two, Yeah. I was in love. The thing I think that, I always knew I wanted to do theater and music. I think the thing that slew me and made me realize I couldn't do anything else was when I saw a chorus line on Broadway.
Yeah.
It's funny because I know people that were working in New York when that show opened, and they would go see it, and they're sobbing at the end of the show.
Yeah.
I was. And other people that weren't in the theater would look at them and say, what are you crying about? And they say, that's our life. That's us up there on that stage.
Yeah.
And that's the kinship I felt with it.
Yeah, that's huge. I think we all have, that one show, but just, a chorus line itself, it really truly is. It is like the audition process, talking about you're not good enough for this, you're too small for that, you're too tall for this, you're too short for that, you're too fat for this. Like, just thinking about, the different conversations and music that are in that show, it really does like highlight everything that you kind of go through in an audition process in the theater world. But
right.
I wouldn't have it any other way, that's for sure.
It can be a tough business, but I can't imagine doing anything else. I feel that I'm really fortunate that, I never had the performing career I really wanted, for a number of reasons. But I feel so lucky, I guess is the right word, that I get to make my entire living doing the three things that I love doing. And that's making music, making theater, and teaching.
Yeah. I think that's success.
Yeah.
I think that's true success, because you don't have to be, I mean, sure, we all want a Tony or, that EGOT, but the fact that you're doing something that you love on a daily basis, that's successful.
Right. I need to grab something here before the dog decides to chew on it.
Perks of working at home all the time.
My office assistant.
Yes.
Yeah, my father never understood that I would feel more successful doing something that I loved, even if it was not making me rich, rather than having more money than I knew what to do with and wanted to open a vein every third day. And I truly love what I do. It's not making me wealthy, but you don't go into this because you want to be wealthy. You go into it because you love it.
Yes.
And so you find other ways to make money, and you keep doing what you're doing, and sometimes it's not so bad having it as an avocation as opposed to a vocation. I'm fortunate enough that I can go both ways with it.
Yeah. Oh, for sure. I mean, you have your voice lessons, and then you teach at the college, and yeah, that's good. And okay, so the last thing I want to talk about is, like, what was the one piece of advice or the one experience that you've had either directing or performing in the show that was just kind of like, I'm going to use this every single time that I am on stage or just in life?
Wow. That's a tough question, because I think I come from every show having learned something, no matter which side of the table I'm on.
Yeah.
I think probably the best acting advice I ever received was from a friend of mine who was a now retired director, had worked on Broadway for 35 years. He said, an actor has three jobs: to be seen, to be heard, and to be understood. If acting gets in the way of any of those three things, stop acting. I think we've all seen the person who was working so hard to act that you just couldn't buy their performance.
Yeah, for sure. Or even been that person, starting out themselves.
Oh, yeah. As far as, advice as a director, I think that the big thing was, no matter how many plans you've made and how you want to put a show together, be willing to try something different. You can't direct people to do something they wouldn't actually do, generally.
Yeah.
So you may have an idea that you want to do this with a certain character in a play. Well, the actor playing that can't embrace that idea. It's just not part of them. So then you have to collaborate with the actor to find where their head is and to sort of rethink some of what you're doing.
No, I like that.
Being willing to not be so tied to what your thoughts are, married to your way of doing it, that you can't accept something different. And sometimes it's actually better.
I like that a lot. I feel like I've worked with directors where I'm just like, I have no idea what you want me to do, and they were so stuck on that.
Yeah.
And in art, theater is an art form. It's a collaborative art, like you said. So being able to collaborate with your actors, whether it's a person you're doing with the scene with, or especially your director who has a clear vision of what they want,
right,
is huge and important. I like that.
This same gentleman who's the director said, the key to directing success is get the right play, get the right cast, get the right set. That's it. After that, let it come to life.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. Kate may have something else to say about that when she does her thing about directing.
Yeah.
No, I just love what I do. I'm I like to share it.
Well, that's going to be important. So, any last thoughts or comments about why someone should join your class coming up in a couple weeks here?
Right.
Like if they're just kind of on the fence, or what are some things that you can just say, you know, this class is good to join because blank.
You know, it doesn't matter whether you've been doing this for a week or 51 years.
Mm-hmm.
There's always some new tidbit of information that maybe can make the difference in something. There's always some new approach that you can latch onto, or something, like we said before, why didn't someone tell me this 20 years ago? There's always those things. And even if you go through the whole series of classes and you only come in with 1 or 2 bits of new information, but maybe some reinforcement of some thoughts,
Mm-hmm.
or even things that just challenge some of your thoughts, I think it'll have been worth your time and your money. Because honestly, I'm the kind of person, if I stop learning, shoot me now. Because I may as well just, I'm still breathing, so I'm not finished. I don't know everything. I keep wanting to grow and learn, and hopefully I can help others do that.
Yeah, I like that. I'm not done breathing. I'm still here to learn. I like that. Well, thank you so much for giving me your time.
My pleasure.
And for those of you watching, thank you so much. Don't forget to like our page for updates and to subscribe to our YouTube channel. There's going to be some updates and tidbits there as well. And I will leave a link in the comments and description of this to sign up for Keith's class. That is going to start on June 22nd at 7 p.m. And it's going to be all about audition strategies. So next time we will interview another board member, give you guys a little bit more insight, but thanks for watching, guys.